Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's YunKs. Today, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at Memory of Felwinter on a Striker Titan. Can it work? Well, let's find out. Now, before we get into it, if you didn't know already, Memory of Felwinter will grant you an extra melee and grenade charge at the price of your super. You will no longer have a super if you are running this artifact, and I always recommend 100% discipline and 100% strength if you are running Memory of Felwinter on any subclass that is. So let's take a closer look at the Striker subclass and figure out what can be used here and what is now not necessary. So Unstoppable is not necessary because we won't have a Fist of Havoc, but if you want the extra armor from it, I guess you could do that. But Shoulder Charge and Juggernaut are your options here now, and obviously both of these are very good options. So that's really up to you on that one. Now here, moving on to this column, we have Headstrong, which we won't need because we won't have a Fist of Havoc once again. So your options are Aftershocks or Transfusion. Transfusion is a very good choice here, but if you are running Lightnings, Aftershocks, it wouldn't be the worst having a little extra duration on that. Moving on to our melees, Storm Fist, we have Overload, Discharge, and Amplify. Amplify will no longer be needed since we don't have a Fist of Havoc. So your options are Overload or Discharge. I would personally recommend Overload though. And our grenade, this is really personal preference. We have Flashbangs, Pulses, and Lightning Grenades. Lightning Grenades, obviously a great choice on the Striker. Flashbangs are pretty decent as well, and Pulses, I don't know how I feel about them. So yeah, moving on to the exotic armor. Let's see what exotic armor can work here. What goes well with the Memory of Felwinter on the Striker? So Helm of Saint 14 is for Ward of Dawn, don't need that. Helm of Inmost Light is for Death from Above and Headstrong, but we don't have a Fist of Havoc to use any of those, so no need for that. Insurmountable Skullfort is an additional melee charge. We already have an additional melee charge from Memory of Felwinter. Moving on to the Glasshouse, that is for the Defender subclass. Eternal Warrior, gain Unstoppable for Fist of Havoc. Don't have a Fist of Havoc. Imperium Bellicose can work if it fits your playstyle, of course. TeknoAxe, no, we're going to pass. Crest of Alpha Loopy, we're going to pass. Armamentarium, we don't need because we already have an additional grenade charge, that is. Twilight Garrison is always a solid option on a Titan for that extra mobility. No backup plans is for Defender. Ruin Wings, no, don't need that whatsoever. ACD Feedback Fences can work, they can work. Immolation Fist is for the Sunbreaker. Thagomizers, you get Amplify and an additional melee charge. We don't need the additional melee charge or Amplify since Amplify is for the Fist of Havoc. And we have our boots here, MK44 stand aside. So if you are running Shoulder Charge, this can work. And if you are running Shoulder Charge again, Paragon Greaves can also work. MK44 stand asides probably would be the better choice if you are running Shoulder Charge though. Dune Marchers can also work. So what armors here can work on the Memory of Felwinter Striker? Well, Imperium Bellicose, if you are into the whole aiming in the air thing, you know, if that suits your playstyle. Twilight Garrison is a very good option here. This is what I personally run for the extra mobility. ACD Feedback Fences also can work, and all these boots here can work. MK44 Stand-asides if you are trying to focus Shoulder Charge, and Dune Marchers if you are trying to focus Juggernaut. I feel like that can be a very solid option for you. I guess this could work with Shoulder Charge as well. Anyway, let's just get right into the main question. Can Memory of Felwinter work on a Striker Titan? Well, let's talk PvE first. Fist of Havoc is a very powerful tool to your disposal on a Striker, and of course you will be losing that due to Memory of Felwinter, but you will have the extra melee charge and the extra grenade charge, and grenades on a Striker very powerful, and the melees, if you are running Overload along with Transfusion, can be very, very helpful, I must admit, with the health regen. And although that is a very nice thing to have, I still think it's really not worth it in PvE. Fist of Havoc will just take down majors very nicely, take down large groups of enemies. Just very efficient when it comes to that. You can most certainly live without 2 melee and 2 grenade charges in PvE. Just don't fuck around. Keep your super, especially for higher level activities. You're going to want your Fist of Havoc. I would totally not recommend running Memory of Felwinter on a Striker Titan, at least in PvE. And remember, if you really, really wanted an extra grenade or melee charge, you can run Armamentarium, which is always a very good choice on a Striker or, you know, just a Titan in general. And if you really want an extra melee charge, you can run Thagamizers or Insurmountable Skull Fort. So there are options there for that. Of course, you will not be able to get both 2 melees and 2 grenade charges without Memory of Felwinter on a Titan, but I honestly think you'll be fine without both of those additional charges. Anyway, let's move on to PvP. Is it worth it there? Well, I'm just gonna say it right off the bat, I pretty much think it's not worth it. If Fist of Havoc is just too good of a super, you know, it can definitely be game changing if you save it for heavy, if you save it for a zone on control and get a huge multi-kill with it, and the game can most certainly turn into your favor from that moment. It's very easy to pull off. It's very easy to shut down other enemies in their super, such as a Storm Trance or Arc Blader. Just a solid super overall in the Crucible, and I don't think you should ever give that up for Memory of Felwinter. You can live without your super in the Crucible if you really, really wanted to. Do I recommend it? Fuck no. Keep your Fist of Havoc, but if you wanted to switch things up and, you know, mess around with Memory of Felwinter on the Striker, you can go for it. You know, obviously 2 grenades and 2 melees can work very well on a Striker. Like I said before, the Overload Transfusion combination works very well with the health regen. Although Aftershocks can work very nicely with your lightning grenades, I do not recommend it because at that point, if you are running Aftershocks, it pretty much makes your melees useless. You won't have any health regen after you get a Storm Fist kill, and honestly at that point, I feel like you might as well just run Armamentarium and not run Memory of Felwinter. Transfusion is pretty much a must if you are running this artifact, and due to Transfusion and the double melees, Shotgun is a pretty obvious choice for your special weapon, or you could also run Universal if you're feeling like it, and it's pretty obvious because of Juggernaut and Shoulder Charge. I think the Titan was pretty much made to be up close and personal with their enemies. Now let's talk about having 2 grenade charges on the Striker. Having 2 lightning grenades can absolutely be deadly on the right game mode, on the right map. As long as you place them correctly, they could be devastating to the enemy team. They are a very powerful tool if you know how to use them, and you could also annoy the hell out of your opponents with them. Speaking of annoying your opponents, flashbangs can work very well too, and having 2 of these can make for a very aggressive Titan. You hit an enemy with your flashbang, they will momentarily be blind and have their radar down, so that is a good opportunity to go in on your enemies and put them down before they even know where you're coming from. So having 2 grenades on a Striker can most certainly be very effective, and of course Armamentarium can get that job done for you, not just specifically Memory of Felwinter. So when I was using Memory of Felwinter on my Striker in the Crucible, I did have fun, but to be honest, I would have had much more fun if I did have a Fist of Havoc a couple times a game. You just can't beat the feeling of fisting somebody. It's a marvelous feeling. So yeah, when it comes down to it, I would much rather have my Fist, and if I really wanted an extra grenade charge, once again, I could just run Armamentarium, or if I really want an extra melee charge, I could just run Skull Fort or Thagamizers. You guys already know that though. One plus side with running Memory of Felwinter on the Striker, if you're anything like me and you're addicted to Twilight Garrison on your Titan, well, you can run Twilight while still having 2 melee and grenade charges. It was nice, but I would still just much rather have a Fist. Anyway, go ahead, leave in the comments. Let me know what subclass you would like to see next for this Memory of Felwinter discussion. I already went over the Sunsinger, the Stormcaller, the Night Stalker, and the Defender, and now, of course, the Striker. So we have 4 more subclasses to go. Now, one more time, can Memory of Felwinter work on a Striker Titan in PvE? Wouldn't recommend it. Now, can it work in PvP? It can work, but once again, I would just totally not recommend it. Fist of Havoc is too good of a super, and it really makes a Striker Titan, well, a Striker Titan. Plus, there are other options out there for additional melee and grenade charges on your Titan, and for that reason, I really do not think it is worth running Memory of Felwinter on your Striker. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much gonna wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the video, and go ahead and leave us up if you haven't already if you want to see more Destiny videos similar to this one, because I will be bringing it to you guys on the daily. Anyway, I will see you next time.